So we started this recap series from our lives that we painted all of these awesome Halloween rocks. We're on part 2. Now the first tutorial I'm going to show you, I have had on the channel a couple times over the years, but normally I do this one with a paintbrush. And so this is the first time I'm going to be doing this one with paint pens. So these dual tips work good because I had the big side that I could do the bodies, and then I have the small side that I can do like the legs and such. Basically, I'm just making a circle with bumpy edges. I don't worry about it being a perfect circle. This is not an anatomically correct spider either. We are going to give him a web to be hanging from. I don't know why I didn't place this down first, but I'm just making it work anyways. Now we're going to place on 2 giant white circles. Obviously, there is dry time going on in between what I'm doing here in this video. Now, getting 2 perfectly even circles can be difficult, so you can make them not match on purpose. That's just a little trick when you're doing a big batch of rocks. And then we're doing giant pupils. And I have to say, normally I do this with dotting tools. It was much easier with dotting tools to get the nice perfect circles, but we made these work. Now this is when you can be creative. We're going to start putting signs on our stones. So you can make large signs, you can make individual signs. A spider has 8 legs. It can hold lots of things. You can decide whatever you want. We even did a little jack-o'-lantern pail this year for our spider to hold. Now I'm going to go ahead and just use wispy lines to outline my signs. And this one I'm going to do boo in 3 letters. You can write Happy Halloween, trick or treat. You can put whatever on your sign you want. And then we're going to start adding on our legs. And the thing to keep in mind, I like to do 4 legs going down and 4 legs going up. I like to have the spider holding on with at least a few of the legs to the web itself. And then you can also have the spider holding on to his sign or his pail or whatever he is carrying around with him. I always put in like an elbow joint. So have the legs come away from the body and then have a sharp point where it bends back towards whatever it's holding. Really play around with this. This is a really fun part of the design. I'm going to quickly come back and add a little jack-o'-lantern face onto my pail, and you'll see I did a simpler design on the other pail. You don't have to have this be super intricate. Final touch is let's get in there and double dot the eyes. Now I like to dab, dab, dab in the same spot with an extra fine tip paint pen just so the circle gets bigger, and then a single dot to the side. I love these little spiders. This is another one that I have just been painting for years. It's nice to kind of give it a fresh new tutorial. And this time I did it with paint pens, so it's a little bit different. Let's paint a super simple black cat. We're going to start by creating an oval for our head shape. I'm using a stone on whatever you're doodling this on. Then we're going to do our ears. Now I like to start on the outside edge of the head and go almost straight up and then create the point coming back down to make your triangles. Then you're going to give him a body. Now you can make him long and skinny like this. You can easily create the body bulging out. Make sure the neck is skinny, but then create the body shape however you want. Even a fat cat, it looks better to have a thin neck. Next, we're going to add on our tail. You can go through the head. That's okay because we're going to paint the entire thing black. But have fun with this. You can have it curling, a big curl. You can have it come up the top of the rock, going off to the side. You can really adjust this cat a lot of different ways once you see how to lay it out the basic shapes. And now I'm just painting this all in black. And at this point, you can thicken up your tails a little bit as well because you can see how it will look next to your cat. Once you're done filling in your cat, set him to the side and let him dry completely. Next, we're going to add on our eyes. So we are going to, I'm using a paint pen here. You can use whatever you have. Do 2 very large, I'm doing green here, eyes. I'm going to show you here. I've done these in a lot of different colors and it's fun to play around with that, like pink, purple, whatever you want to do. In the meantime, you can come in and add your whiskers on there, just a couple wispy strokes. Once your eyes are dry, you can come back and add the pupils. I like to give myself lines first, and then I kind of build them out to the sides and kind of a rounded diamond shape. Now this year I decided to leave some of the black cats as silhouettes without any eyes, and so I'll show you what it looks like next to each other here. Next up we have our poison apples. So as you can see there, I put my stem on my apple, and then I'm using my poison color to outline my eye shapes, my nose shape, and make a drippy bottom. And then I'm going to add the top shape of my apple. So it's going to be a little bit rounded, but you want it to taper down just a little bit towards the bottom. Now I'm just going to come in with my apple color on this one red. You'll see a lot of different combinations here. And fill in the bottom part of the apple. Now you do want to have like a little dimple in the bottom of your apple. It's not just flat and straight across. And I'm just going to roughly fill in these areas with the red. Then I'm going to come in and do inside the eyes and the nose as well in one layer of red. The red's going to take 2 coats, so just get it on there nice and thin so it can start drying. Now you'll see here, I'm going to switch back and forth. These are the dual tip paint pens from Toolyart. So it's got medium on one side and extra fine tip on the other. So when I'm laying this first coat, you can use that fine tip. You can get really into the little nooks and crannies there. You'll see later when I'm filling in the green now here, I'm using the larger medium tip to do the bigger spaces, and then I can come back if I need to with the extra fine tip. But for the most part, I kind of just dripped because I wanted to go over the edge of the red a little bit there. And you'll see here, even on the side, I wanted the poison to come sticking out just a little bit past the edge of my red. So I knew this was going to need a second coat as well, so just get that first coat on there. I did also decide that I wanted to add some drips from my poison apple, so I just added a couple on here. And somebody that was following on live, she made like a puddle underneath. Somebody else said you could add a bottle of poison on the side. So once you see the tutorial, you can make it your own. I did come back and lighten my stem a little bit on this one because my rock was dark and I just couldn't see it. So I just went back and forth between the dark brown and a lighter brown paint pen that I happen to have on the side. Now go ahead and do second coats of your color. You want this to be a nice bright shiny apple underneath. I did come back and make the highlight with the under apple color. And then I did do a purple apple that you can see here off to the side. And then I also did the light green drip poison over a dark green apple and over a red apple. So I'm just kind of sharing those two quickly with you here. Start by placing down your eyes onto your rocks. Once you have your eyes down, you're going to start creating rectangles all over your rock to create your mummy wrapping. It's not going to be pure white, so make sure that you're using your paint pen in strokes, filling along the shape of the bandage. So any of the lines left behind will move in the direction of the bandage. And even though I'm breaking these apart and going in different directions, the whole rock will almost be all white, but because of the motions that you're using, when we come back in line later, it will give you the fun bandaged look. Now, as you're filling in your space, I do like my bandages to end up touching on either side of the eyes, and it is okay for you to overlap the eye slightly in one place or another if you want to. Now, something else that is optional is you can give your mummies a little pop of color. To do this, just go along your mummy bandage edges with whatever color you want. Add a couple hash lines in the direction of your bandages with your color, then come back with your white while it's wet and blend it in. Again, you want to use your pen in the direction the bandages are going. When we come back in line, this is all going to come together. This is the one that is like the trust the process rock, but I promise it will come together. Once you've got this all blended out and have the nice little streaks, you're going to doodle off the tip of your white paint pen. Just doodle, doodle, doodle until it's all the way back to white. And I am now going to show you, I've got a few different colors that I did, and I just kind of wanted to share each of them. Then go in and give your eyes a second layer. Now the most important part is lining. Now I'm using an extra fine tip paint pen here on this design. It works great for creating these nice fine lines. Start by picking some rectangles you want to have as the foreground of your mummy design. So you're going to give them an outline. I use very wispy, sketchy style strokes. I do like to make sure my bandages touch the edges around the eyes, so I often do those first. And then I kind of bounce around. You want some of the bandages to be in the foreground, then there'll be ones that are underneath. Just kind of bounce around and add them. Make sure you're following those strokes that you left behind with your pop of color or even just your white. because then they flow with your little texture lines that you are adding in. I do like to make sure that I basically have edges all the way along the side, even if you can't see much of the bandage, at least put a line there along the edge. Next, you're going to outline your eyes, and if your bandage is covering part of your eyes, that's okay. It actually looks pretty cute. And then you're going to fill in the rest of the negative space around the eyes. So you're just going to go in and fill it black all the way around the eyes. And then you're going to add pupils, and I like to pretend that they just came out into the sun, so they have beady eye pupils, tiny little dots. These are so cute. It's been one of my favorite tutorials over all the years that I have done Halloween rock painting ideas. Next up, we have our ghosts holding things, our peeking eyes, our natural pumpkins, and our adorable witches. Follow along so you don't miss any of the rest of this Halloween rock painting series.